How many of you ever played a video game? Like they had these video games back in the 90s and like Atari, Nintendo, Sega, Super Mario Bros, all that kind of stuff. And I know I'm showing my age right now, but if any of you ever played any of these video games, or if you played the video games they have out now, I don't really know, I don't keep up with it now, but as you know, when you first play these video games, there's levels. And in the beginning, the levels are pretty easy. The enemies that you have to battle are pretty easy to defeat. You can pretty much obtain victory very quickly. It's not much of a process. I mean, not much difficulty. There's not much of a resistance. But as you surpass each level, as you make your way up the ranks, it gets more harder and more harder. The challenges become more difficult. The enemies become more stronger. The enemies become greater and more powerful. And it's like, it becomes more of a challenge. You find yourself no longer passing the levels as quickly. You might be stuck on a level for a very long time. Sometimes you'll be stuck on a level for days or weeks or even months. And it just becomes, the higher you go up in the ranks, it becomes more harder and more harder. And that's because you're becoming better. And now that you're becoming better, your opposition is going to be matching you. They're going to be becoming greater. As you become better, your opposition, your resistance becomes greater in order for you to pass the level. Because see, if you stay facing the same type of enemies, I mean, it would be no effort. It would not be a challenge. It's like you wouldn't be earning anything, because as you get stronger, you're not exercising, you're not becoming stronger, you're not growing, you're not evolving. It's like, as you become better at something, as you become stronger, and as you reach a higher level of expertise, you now have to face something that's on your level or a little bit greater, so that you can now grow and stretch and evolve even more. If you don't evolve and you keep facing the same giants that you've already defeated, you will kind of regress. Basically, your progress will now diminish because you're not growing your muscles. You're not giving yourself a challenge. So this is what happens when we have a destiny, or we're trying to get to a certain level in life, when God gives us pretty much a promise, and we see ourselves as we go forward, and God helps us get through the enemies. We're gonna find ourselves facing enemies at a greater level. It's not gonna be as easy to accomplish the same level of victory, to receive the same level of victory, to accomplish and receive success and to defeat these enemies. Because see, now that you are growing in your power and your strength and your spirit, now that you are grounded and your anointing is becoming higher, you're becoming greater. Now the enemies you face are at a greater level. It's like now God is elevating you. You have become elevated, that you're growing, that you're now able to face an enemy who has more power. Now you've reached a level where the enemies that you are ranking and facing off with, they're not as easy to defeat, but you can do it, because you know what? You're at this level. You have gotten to this level because obviously you have surpassed and defeated everything else that God has gotten you through, because you have grown. And this is what happens. And then see, this is why we find ourselves when we're in a battle against Satan, the kingdom of darkness. And we've gone through battles before, but now we might find ourselves facing a battle that seems like I'm never going to get through this, or it's gonna destroy me. And it's like you go crying to God, like, why is this so hard, Lord? And you have to remind yourself, because see, there's levels to this. You have to remind yourself, hey, it's hard because I have grown. I'm more powerful now. I have already defeated those lower ranking devils and demons and principalities. Now I'm able to face something more powerful. I'm able to obtain a greater level of challenge, because see, now I have grown. I have now been raised up to a higher level. I have been elevated, and now I have to rank off with enemies that are more in my ranking level. Because if you stay at the same level, you're not going to grow higher. You're not going to reach higher heights. You're going to actually start going down. You're going to, like I said, you're going to regress. So you should look at this as a good thing, okay? Not look at it as something that, discourages you or dissuades you, because now that you're facing off with enemies who are more powerful and more stronger, you can now understand that you have gotten to this level, okay? God has been able to elevate you to this level because you have actually surpassed all these other enemies. You have outranked them. You have defeated them already. And with God's help, you can now get through this enemy that you're facing.